I want to talk about this idea of experimenting. Our friend Jim Collins wrote the book, iconic book, Good to Great. It talks about this illustration of musket balls and cannonballs. And if you picture the old naval warships, the idea with a musket ball is they would shoot the musket ball to their enemy ship with just a little bit of the black powder, because black powder is limited. And we can't use it all on a cannonball that misses, because then we're screwed. And so you calibrate with these musket balls, and finally you hit the edge of the ship and you go, okay, we got the calibration dialed in. Now load a cannonball and go big. And you're almost guaranteed the cannonball is going to hit at that point because you've experimented your way to that conclusion. So many businesses have heard about this idea of we should be experimenting, we should be testing, especially when it comes to web and analytics and marketing. But there's something bigger than that, and that's this broader culture of experimenting, this mindset of testing things and taking risks all the time. And at the same time, we're trying to do this in a way that's not fatal. We don't want fatal failures, but we want lots and lots of little failures all the time, because that's how we learn. Practically, how do we teach our teams to take on this mindset of experimenting? You gave one option of, here's 100 email list you can experiment with, but with our customers, in the store, out in the field, we want to be experiencing incredible customer service that's consistent all the time. And simultaneously, we're trying to encourage experimenting, which could be a little bit in competition with that short term.
Oh, it's totally in competition. And I think the only reason you want to be consistent all the time is because you're afraid. It's not the same customer, it's different customers. At the overworn story of Zappos, he wants people to be on the phone for 3, 4, 5 hours a call, right? Why? Because his people are experimenting as they do that to discover interesting ways to engage. So, practical tip. When I was building Yoyodyne, one of the first internet companies, I had 17 salespeople, and they were all inside salespeople, and I bought them all a $29 Radio Shack tape recorder. And I said, all week, I would like you to record all your calls. And then on Friday, please bring your best 2 minutes, the best 2 minutes you said on the phone, and play it for the other 16 sales reps. So over that half hour, we had a greatest hits sharing that went on. Now, they stole from each other a lot next week. And the week after that, and the week after that. Why wouldn't you? That wouldn't have been possible if I had said to them, I wrote the script, you read the script. So you got to do one or the other.
Well, you talk about experimenting with customers, and I understand you're saying they're not all the same customers. So what's it if you fail with one customer? And I'm going, but Seth, our net promoter score may drop. If we mess it up with one customer and they don't fill out the survey that we were amazing, that we were a 10 out of 10, we've got a net promoter score and a quarterly objective around that. That's how we're bonusing our team. And you're messing with my system, man.
Well, I could answer it conceptually, but let me answer it tactically. I can make your net promoter score go up. I can make every company's net promoter score go up. It's super simple. It's only 2 words. Be human. That is what makes your NPS go up. Not systemically read them the same script and then do that stupid survey afterwards where you're not listening to the results, right? We've all seen big companies pretend they're doing all those things. Every time they ask me one of those, I put my phone number in and I say, if you're really serious about learning, call me. And never once has anyone ever called me. Never once.
Shocker.
Reading it, right? And so on the other hand, if you think about any interaction you've had with a company, big or small, where the person helped you by being human, that turns you into a promoter.
When we're hiring people, I think so many of our culture issues, if we let the wrong people in the building to begin with, they bring their baggage with them. If we bring in people who are transactional, who aren't human, who are coming at this just with their head and not their heart, there's a responsibility we have as gatekeepers to attract and bring you said it before, people like us do things like this. In the hiring process, it's really difficult because you only have so many interactions with people to figure out, are they like us? So how do we hire for people that are going to be artists, they're going to ship, they're going to be creative, that are going to be human? Because I'm looking at a resume and I may have a few interviews and then we got to take a risk and drop them in. But those consequences can be lasting. Those consequences can be haunting us for months and months if we get the wrong person.
Yeah, I think that American corporations have way underestimated how important it is to hire the right people. They dramatically underinvest in it. And they think they're doing better by interviewing more, interviewing just tells you if the person's good at interviewing. So if you need a workforce filled with people who are good at interviewing, you have the right screening process in place. And for everybody else, it doesn't make any sense to me whatsoever. And my approach has been only hire people you've worked with before, which feels like a paradox. However, I think the way through it, particularly in our current world, is screen people with whatever screening method you want and then give them a freelance gig. And get them to do the work. And only when you see them do the work do you get to see how they do the work and pay them for it.
Yeah.
And creating a bench of people who are regularly creating value for you and getting paid for it, and then only hiring people from that bench, it feels to me like it takes you way closer to hiring the right kind of people.
I love that. Well, we agree on principle. We have a little different take on that here at Ramsey. Not as much do we do the freelance thing, but we ask people who work here, who are like us, who are your friends that are like us? And we incentivize, we actually give out bounties for, hey, if you bring somebody on that's your friend, and they got to be a thoroughbred, they can't be a donkey just because you're going to get a bounty out of the deal, but they make it through 90 days and it turns out, hey, they're like us too. You know, eagles flock together with other eagles. And so we're trying to get our team to get people who are quality thoroughbred type mindset that are like them to be the biggest part of our recruiting program, not an HR function.
Yeah, no, it's hard to do. And I'm in favor of it. When I used to run a summer camp up in Canada with my friend Joanne, and it was really hard to get kids to bring other kids, even though it was a life-changing experience. And we discovered why, because they had their city life and they had their camp life. And if they invited city kids to see them at camp, then they'd be busted. It was only after, the camp drew from like 7 cities, but as Toronto got bigger, their cover was already blown. And then Toronto became a hotbed of referrals. Because, all right, well, they already know me here, so I might as well tell my friends. But in cities where there's only like 2 or 3 kids who come, they don't tell anybody because they want to have a different life. And I've found that often happens at work, but my guess is, like everything at Ramsey, if you guys put your minds to it, you have no doubt succeeded.